Hello, I hope you're all doing great. This is Press Play by Evie, and today's topic is where do we go from here? As you can tell from the topic, this is a question we ask ourselves when we get to the end of a road, the end of a particular path, and we're looking around, feeling around, trying to decide what's the next chapter of our lives, what's the next move that we need to make. And this is an interesting space to be in because there has endless possibilities. There is something to look forward to anticipate, and you could go in any direction. However, this space can also create a lot of anxiety because we are programmed to always know or seek to know what the end looks like. Even when we learn about goals, there's usually an ultimate outcome. That there's a input, a process, and an output. And we have been taught in our formal systems of education and way of life that the output, the outcome has to always be clear. For example, if it's a monetary goal, then you know your intention is to make X amount of money at the end of the business activity that you're conducting. Or when you start school, you know the intention is to move through the school program and curriculum and eventually get to a point where you graduate, whether you've decided to graduate high school and stop from there, or get into the university and graduate from that. And ultimately, it's because we also may be of the belief system that once we do that, then we will get great employment for most people, or you will get or be able to do great business because of some of the networks and connections that you make from this school process. So, because we've been programmed for so long to think in this way, when we find ourselves asking, where do we go from here? Then it's a scary space to be in. However, I invite you to think of this question in a different light. Think of it as being in a space, a limitless ocean, where each direction you look at, it's just kilometers and kilometers of water. And you could decide what direction you want to set sail. And regardless of the direction you take, it's going to take you on a beautiful adventure to a beautiful place you've not been before. And you just have to be patient and allow yourself to rock along with the boat. Might get a bit of rocky, crashing waves here and there, but just to brace yourself and continue enjoying the process, discovering new islands along the way, perhaps even stopping by and experiencing what those islands have to offer. Perhaps would be an interesting culture that is there, the cuisine, the music, the people, the interactions, a bit of partying and dancing, and then you move on, get back on the boat and move on to the next island and the next adventure until you arrive to a point where you can say, I think I have experienced and tried this path to its very end, and I am now at a point of satisfaction and want to look onto or move on to the next path. I would also invite you to go on this journey of where do I go from here? Where do we go from here? And embrace it with an open mind, an open heart, with a lot of grace for yourself and for others, with great spirit of adventure and excitement, knowing that it will all make sense in retrospect. So I invite you to share with us in the comment section of a time where you got to the end of the road or a particular path, whether it was in a relationship, a friendship, a job, a business, whatever it may be, and you had to look around and decide that some things needed to fade away or you needed to let go of them because they were no longer of service to you, they were no longer growing you, and you grew as much as you possibly could. Also, if you're open to it, sharing, did you realize that you're at the end of the road and decide to move on yourself, or did the circumstances push you to it? Perhaps someone or a situation triggered this situation you find yourself in, or it was your own self awareness and knowing. Also, provide some tips on how are you navigating that, or did you navigate that if it's something in the past. Share also your new adventure. How is it going? What are the ups and downs that you've experienced? What is or what sense of excitement has it brought into your life and satisfaction, moving in the unknown? And for those who've already journeyed a couple of paths, roads, and completed those and moved on to the next, and in a way have found a system through which they're able to move through the unknown and through the process without being paralyzed by fear, please do share the tips. As always, it is such a pleasure to speak to like minded people such as yourself, have these discussions, and build each other. Have a good day and talk to you soon. Thank you.